Thank you very much. Sandy Kerr with the Road Angels and the fabulous Mr. Gil Anthony is my guest. My friend, you have done so much things in your life, sportscaster. Sports. I love it. You're from Alabama. Bart Starr, Packers.
Yeah.
Oh, man. The
University of Alabama Crimson Tide. You're right.
I can hear you doing them games. I've heard you in the past somewhere.
No, somewhere in your past life. But yeah, really, that's why I started out really doing a lot of sports when I was in California. When I got out of the Air Force and went to college, I was going to college in Santa Barbara. And first of all, when I was in the Air Force, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I'd practice reading out loud. I'd read the sports page, and the box scores and all that.
Yeah.
And I always loved play-by-play. Chick Hearn of the L.A. Lakers and Vin Scully of the Dodgers were my two idols, But there was a guy when I was growing up in North Dakota that I used to hear, Bob Weidler. I'll never forget him. He used to do play-by-play. He'd talk 50 words a second type thing. But when I was going to college, what I would do before I even got into radio, when they had basketball practice, if they had a scrimmage, I would set up back then a reel-to-reel player or a cassette player and go up in their broadcast booth where nobody was at that time because it was just a practice, and I'd practice doing play-by-play, and then I'd listen to it type thing. And I loved doing basketball. To me was the easiest because you always only had to learn five names, and that's the opposition because you knew your team. So you only had to learn five names, and that whole thing, and I loved it. And I did everything from girls fast pitch softball, did football, high school football, did basketball, did some college basketball here, did football, and just loved it. Sports and music were my love. So where else could I go but radio and enjoy it? Like I always tell people, I've lived all my life and I've never had a job in my life because I'm doing what I love. And when you do something you love, that's not a job as far as I'm concerned. And just to have music and sports and I always consider myself very blessed with the people I've been acquainted with and the people I've gotten to know and the things I've gotten to do. And a lot of time, and I've had other opportunities to do sports maybe at a higher level, but to me, I have three boys that are now grown, of course, and family to me was more important. Sometimes I'd rather stay and them have a stable family life than to be jumping around like a lot of people do. See, Tom, back in the day when I first started in radio, if you were at a radio station for more than a year, there was something wrong with you. You jumped around. You did not stay at a station for more than a year. Now, that's totally unheard of. It really is. Because you were always moving around.
You were trying
to advance yourself, maybe go here, go there, or they had a change of format. So I'm sorry, Tom, you don't fit our format. You don't sound young enough. You don't sound old enough. You don't sound hip enough. You don't know the music, or we're doing this, we're doing that. So it was not really looked upon as a bad thing for you to get let go. I've gotten let go. I don't know. I'm going to have to sit down and count. But in all my years of radio, and really the last, I've been doing only blues for the last 10 years, but I've been doing it for 25. But I got out of commercial radio about 10 years ago, and I probably have worked at 30 radio stations. So, and that's not unusual. Now, you go into another profession, they look for you've changed job 30 times. There's something wrong.
And yes, right now, one of the cool things, the Blues Power. Tell us a little bit about that audience. Not only you're doing it on your radio show, live on the FM, but you're also doing it on Facebook too, and how that came to be.
Well, I do 2 5-hour programs at 2 different radio stations. They're not corporate. They're privately owned radio stations. One's in Dothan, Alabama. One's in Enterprise, Alabama. And one is an AM station, one's an FM station. Mm-hmm. And I'm fortunate to do the 2 5 hours. I do 10 hours of blues, and I have total say, what I play, when I play it, what I want to do with it as far as that's concerned. I actually buy the time. But streaming, 85% of my audience is probably streaming, and through streaming, the technology in today's radio, that's where if you don't stream, you can't hardly survive. But what happened was, in fact, it'll be 3 years ago, I think in January, maybe 3 or 4, I'm not sure, I've lost track of time. But I got to my Monday program in Dothan, and the server went out of business. The server was down, and the owner said, "I'm sorry, you can't stream." The server went out of business over the weekend, somewhere up in Ohio or wherever their company was. And okay, well, normally I don't know if you follow. I'll put a little post on Facebook. Well, tonight I'm featuring the music of so and so, or New Music Monday, and Flamingo No Pants Monday, whatever it might be. And I said, well, tonight I can't stream. I'm sorry, it's just direct signal of WAGF, and it's small AM. And Charlie Boyer, who does the Florida online magazine, the Jazz Blues magazine online, he called. He either sent me a message or he called and said, well, just take your radio or take your telephone, put it on Facebook, go live, and just put it by a monitor. So I did, and what the heck, it worked. And that was just going to be a temporary thing, but then people start expecting it. So I do the first 2 hours of both Sunday and Monday from 6 to 8 Central on Facebook Live, along with doing it on streaming on the air.
Right.
So I'm sort of doing 2 shows at one time. We have a lot of fun and a lot of interaction on Facebook Live. I mean, a lot of the artists, it's not unusual, Tom. Sometimes I'll check it after I'm done and I'll write down names. I'll have at least 24 of the artists check in just to say hello and interact with the listeners, and say Sean Murphy checks in. They go, "Oh, Sean." Then I'll play. I usually try and play something by the artist. I think if they're kind enough to check in and see what's happening, I should take the time to play a song by them. So I do. I'll say, "Oh, Dee Miller's there. Let's play, Hot and Sweaty, type thing or whatever." And then the listeners will say, "God, I love that song, Dee," or "I love that song, Sean Murphy," or Sugar Ray Rayford, whoever it might be. And they go, "Thank you." And then they sort of interact and they become more aware of the artist's music. And I think it's beneficial on both ends, the listener and the artist, because, you talk about Sandy Carroll. Sandy would come on and we'd play Somebody's Gotta Dance, and people would really get into it. I put the flamingo glasses on,
Yes.
and just to make a total fool out of myself. And I don't mind that. I always say, some people say, "My gosh, I can't believe you did that." Hey, I said, "Hey, look, if I can put a smile on your face, I've done my job." And really, that's what it's all about. I want people to be able to get on Facebook Live, watch and listen and interact, and forget about the problems of the pandemic or whatever it might be. Just those 2 hours, get them away from everything else and bring a smile to their face, get them to interact with their blues family. A lot of the artists, this is they're waiting for it because they can interact with all their other blues people.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I do that from 6 to 8, but I'm also doing, I'll be having fun over here, making faces or lip syncing or do whatever. And then the song ends and boom, I have to be straight on the air, so it's like doing 2 shows, a simulcast of 2 shows, but it's a lot of fun. And Sundays, of course, I have to wear a sport coat on Sunday because they always have to. They will specifically check. And what happened there was, I don't know why I started that. I wore a sport coat. I think it was like one of the Flamingo sport coats.
Yeah.
I wore that one Sunday, and then I wore something else. Well, the next Sunday I came back with just a regular T-shirt on, somebody's T-shirt. Well, one of my listeners goes, and he was joking, he said, "I tuned into Blues Power, Facebook Live, but obviously Gil took the night off. There was a guy wearing a T-shirt doing his program." So every Sunday I have to wear a sport coat on Sundays.
You are a forerunner. I mean, before all this lockdown and virtual, you were doing it 2 years ago. And that's three and a half. Yeah, 3.5 years ago I was doing Facebook Live, yeah. And last time I talked to you, I says, "Gil, you are ahead of the curve. You are online." Here I'm sitting here behind the microphone hiding, I should be doing the first thing, but, and I do. It's great. Dee Miller and everybody punches in. You see them all plugging in, saying hello, and then you're got the new CD that you're doing. promoting or whatever for the artist. Zach Harmon, that's another great one that Sandy Carroll's got.
Yeah,
it's a blast to watch and see. And yeah, you're doing it both. You're on air, and then you're also working with the Facebook stuff.
Yeah,
so, good stuff.
And it is a lot. It is a lot of fun. I enjoy it. There are some days, to be honest, there are some Sundays or Mondays that I've had a long day, or I've done this, I've done that. I thought, geez, I have to do Facebook Live. Oh my gosh! But the show must go on. I figure there's somebody on that other side that has had a worse day than me. They've got more problems than I've got. Mine are minute or non-existent in comparison to theirs. So I always do it. And like I say, if I can bring a smile to somebody's face or whatever, I go, clink, mission accomplished. And exposing the artist, that's what it's all about also, exposing the artist to listeners. And then they make better contact. They interacted on Facebook Live with the artist. So when they hear their song, or maybe one of the artists will tell a song. Like I played Phil Pemberton in Roomful of Blues one day. I was getting their album out, and Phil was listening, the lead singer for Roomful of Blues. And he said, I wrote She Moves Me for my wife. And see, I didn't know that. So I played that, and then everybody thought, oh, that's cool. You played that, you sang that for you wrote that song for your wife. And, it made a lot of people's day, and it made his wife's day because she was listening at the other end. He said, oh, my wife is smiling, because I said, hey, Philip wrote this song for his wife, type thing. So, like I say, that's always, the mission is accomplished. If I can bring a smile to your face or let you forget about something that's happened that wasn't the most pleasant thing that particular day.
Well, amen, Gil, because that's exactly like talking to you today. Yesterday I posted we were going to play Lawrence Lebo, I need to get her up. Bridget Purdy and the ladies all responded, so it was like, that's what I love to do on my end with my little show here. Play them, know it's out there, and then we get to all kind of celebrate together as the notes are playing on the Who Magoo. So I'll tell you what, let's get to Lawrence Lebo. I need to get her up right now, and we'll be right back with Gil Anthony. Thank you.
Hi there, this is old school girl Lawrence Lebo. You're listening to Tom Garrett's spinning the best blues at whomagoo.com.
From head to toe, look my way, baby, I'm sure you'll know I'm old school. I'm old school. I like it that way, 'cause I'm just an old school girl. I'm an old school girl, that's the way I roll. Etta James and Baby, they rock my soul. I'm old school. I'm old school. I like it that way, 'cause I'm just an old school girl. Girls today like to get a text. I'd rather you kiss me on the back